Boker Tov. We reach Parshat Vayigash, in which there's the dramatic Kisha, the meeting between Youre Safe and his brothers, in which he reveals himself as being Youre Safe. And from the whole encounter, I wanted to maybe share with you something about Youre Safe that is really quite incredible. You know, usually we know that Youre Safe is called Youre Safe HaTzadik. And the accepted explanation why it's called Youre Safe HaTzadik, Youre Safe the Righteous, is because when he was a young boy, he was a young lad, he was about 17 years old, and he was able to resist the seduction of his master's wife. He was young with all the passion of youth, far away from home in a decadent culture. And that's why the Zohar and others say that we give that appellation to Youre Safe as being Youre Safe HaTzadik. Usually the word tzaddik, the Zohar says, is associated with a person who is righteous in that area, the sexual area, behavior, that aspect of human behavior. But there's another explanation which is evident from our Parsha, Parshat Vayigash. Why is it that Youre Safe is called Youre Safe HaTzadik? And the reason is because it's very hard to understand and to explain how Youre Safe, after everything that the brothers did to him, how come he never took revenge on his brothers? And it's that lack of taking revenge on his brothers is why he's called Youre Safe HaTzadik. Because we have a person who basically was robbed of all his youth, who was very, very cruelly thrown into a bar, despite all his pleas and his crying, was sent away from home. No one knew what would be with him. Basically, he's been sent away to an existence of being a slave. And after everything that the brothers did to Youre Safe, in this week's Parsha we see not only doesn't he take revenge against them, he calls out to them, he cries as an expression of compassion for his brothers, and he assures them that he loves them, and he hugs them, and he kisses them, as is described in the Parasha. And in fact he says to them that, you know what, don't feel any guilt because you sold me into slavery. This was all a plan from Hashem. It's incredible how a person is able to do such a thing, and that's why it's called Youre Safe HaTzadik. Now, before we just explain how did Youre Safe manage to get to such a level? How is it possible that a person doesn't take revenge when a person's, it's not only that his property, his assets have been assailed, but his very character has been assailed? How come the feeling of justice doesn't cry out that to wreak revenge? In fact, the Masilat Yesharim, in the 11th chapter of Masilat Yesharim, he says, he says two things. When he speaks about the Torah injunction not to take revenge, he describes how difficult it is not to take revenge. And I'll read to you one or two of the expressions. He says, Nekama lo metuka midvash. When a person has been hurt, we're not speaking about that his assets, his property has been, but that there's an assailing on a person's character. And I must add on in a way in which is totally unfounded. That the person's innocent. So the Masilat Yesharim says that revenge for that person is sweeter than honey. And then he adds on, Kihi menuchato levada. He says that the person only feels a sense of comfort, a sense of menucha, that settled down and of rest, inner rest, when the revenge has been taken. And if I could just add on that in the Tanakh it says that in fact it describes such a situation. In the Tanakh it tells us that when Achav set up and falsely accused Nabot of doing a certain crime, and he had him executed in order that he, the king Achav, would be able to inherit his vineyard. So the Tanakh itself describes that the spirit of Nabot, that it knew no peace, it knew no rest until that spirit arranged that he would come down and confound and confuse the thinking of Achav, causing him to die in battle. And only then it could actually rest. So, and then in fact, the Mesillat Yesharim speaks about a third expression about a revenge. He says that not taking revenge is maybe something which is kal rak lemalachei hasharet. You have to be an angel actually to not take revenge. And I was speaking about when a person has been attacked and he's innocent. So how can a person not take revenge? So I think that in this week's parasha, this is the greatness of Youre Safe, why he's called a tzaddik. There is like a key, maybe how to do it. It's not easy to do it, and one has to be like in a way like a Youre Safe. But I think the way in which we can overcome a feeling of taking revenge is if a person sees the bigger picture. But one has to be there. One has to be like on that level. Because you see, Youre Safe was a person who was able to say to his brothers, you know what, I don't hold you responsible. You like the stick in the hands of somebody. So it's like if someone gives a person a clap, he's not going to attack the stick, he's going to attack the person who's holding the stick. And this is what Youre Safe is in fact saying to the brothers. He's saying, you know what, you were used as an instrument. You sold me into Egypt, but it was part of a greater plan that Hashem wanted, that I should be sold into Egypt, to be successful, to rule over Egypt, to be the viceroy of Egypt, and afterwards to pave the way for the whole family to come to Egypt, and subsequently for Am Yisrael to develop in Egypt, and that was the T'nai of Matan Torah. So what he's saying is the way in which he's able to overcome these feelings of revenge is because he sees the greater picture. But you have to have a very, very broad vision. And you have to live that life, that everything that happens to you, happens to one, is that a person lives in under the guidance of Hashgacha, of divine providence, that he sees everything in his life as being played out in the presence of Hashem. So when a person can live on that level, that he sees everything, that everything comes from Hashem. And in fact, that's how the Torah introduces as Youre Safe, because it says that Youre Safe, he was very successful, and his master, Potiphar, saw him as being successful because it says that Hashem was with him. And Rashi explains, how did he see that Hashem was with him? Because he saw that he was always muttering. When everything that he did, he was muttering the name of Hashem. And when, for example, if I could just add on one more word, that when, for example, Youre Safe is introduced to Paro, and Paro says to him, you know what, I heard that you're a great interpreter of dreams. He says, no, it's not me. It's from Hashem. So such a person who lives his whole life in the awe and in the presence of Hashem, he sees the greater picture, so that helps him then afterwards to realize that this is all part of a plan, and this is how he's able to overcome something which, as the Mesillat Yesharim says, is so in a way inhuman, something that only the angels can do. But because he is an angel, he is a messenger of Hashem, he sees everything as coming from Hashem, so that's how he's able to achieve that madrega of being Youre Safe HaTzadik, Youre Safe the righteous one, because he saw the broader picture.